Good morning, everybody. This is Lindsey Huddleston back in the building for another SPS Monday Motivation. That's right, on a Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. I sure did. Relaxing, enjoyable, and now I get a chance to start off a new week by saying good morning to you and feeling good about the world and what's going on. So, what is today's Monday motivation? It is have love. That's right, have love. And what does love stand for today? A life of vulnerable experiences. A life of vulnerable experiences. Vulnerable? Lindsay, what are you talking about? You're supposed to motivate me to get up here and make something happen, not go out and be vulnerable. Who wants to be vulnerable? Vulnerability is a state of emotional exposure that comes with a certain degree of uncertainty. What? A state of emotional exposure that comes with a certain degree of uncertainty. Who wants to be vulnerable? Who wants to set themselves up for something to happen? And a word that's supposed to bring so much positivity seems to have a negative response. That word is love. Whether it's loving someone, being in love, or the idea of love, as powerful as it is, it can make people really concerned because they don't want to put themselves in a position where they're what? Headed this way to vulnerability. Nobody wants to get off on that exit. Nobody wants to make a stop right there. Nobody wants to make that their final destination because we always want to feel that we are in the most control of our situation. But I'm telling you, after spending a weekend and just having some thoughts, and actually, I was with a young couple yesterday. Neighbor has a boat, and we went out, and there was some jet skis. So I'm listening to this young couple as they are starting out their life together. And that's a response is great to hear. It's great to hear a young couple in love, but then you also could talk to friends, family, and loved ones. You can hear about all the troubling things that go on in relationships. I mean, it's not an end to all the things that happen that can make you go, "Oh my, I can't believe that happened. What's going on with them?" But I just say it's very important that we live a life of vulnerable experiences because by being vulnerable at times, I'm saying being strategically vulnerable. I'm not saying walking out on a highway in the middle of the night, walking down the lane thinking you're going to be okay. I'm saying being open to some uncertainty to give you an opportunity to move somewhere else. It is coming out of your comfort zone. I mean, what is the outcome of being vulnerable for love? You can either have a loving, wonderful relationship, and yeah, some bad things can happen, but that hurt that we run from, that hurt that we fear so much, your hurt still can be healed. I'm not telling you that you want to walk out into a world where you want to spend all your times being hurt, where you have to be healed. But sometimes the fear we have of being hurt is not even worth being concerned about because the healing will come. Sometimes the healing will come in a short amount of time. Sometimes it may take longer, but the risk you take for something great, it's always about what's great. Many of you, from a sports standpoint, would never want to be the person that has to make two free throws to win a state championship, two free throws to win the NBA championship. I use that as an example because of the pressure. You don't want to be in that situation because you have a mindset of what if you fail, but what if you win? What if you make those free throws? You become a legend. You take your team on to glory. There is a necessary part of us having to be vulnerable to have something good that's worth happening. Again, I tell you to be strategic in what you do and how you think about it. Only you know your situation. But so many times when there's a new opportunity at the job, I never forget when I was with Governor Granholm's office, the deputy director for legislative affairs position became available. I mean, you would be in a House office dealing with all 110 members of the Michigan House of Representatives, and you would be their contact, both Democrat and Republican, to connect with Governor Granholm for legislation. It was overwhelming. When the position was open, I just said, okay, so that's good that that's open. I didn't think about it. And shout out to Tim Hughes, the director of legislative affairs, and he approached me. He said, Lindsay, are you interested? And I said, man, I'm not, that's just too much. I'm not familiar with all those things. And he told me, well, you have the personality for it. We can teach you the rest. I think so many times we limit ourselves to opportunity based on our own vision, not knowing that if we show a little bit of vulnerability, to show interest, to be open, to have a little bit more belief in ourselves, opportunities can present themselves. I went on and turned out to be a great experience, me being a deputy director of legislative affairs, which led to my lobbying career post Granholm administration. That was very lucrative and that was a great experience. But again, me being open, you know, living a life of vulnerable experiences, you have to be vulnerable in order to experience next level things. Again, I would never tell anyone to forsake everything they have to put themselves in a bad situation. But like I said earlier, sometimes that hurt that we worry about or that hurt that can come is something that can be healed in a way. I mean, for $1 million, would you stub your toe? Yeah, you would. You'll stub your toe and keep moving and say, run that mill, right? Because you know that you can heal from that hurt. And we need to think about that too. Hey, it's okay. It's okay. You've got to say good morning. I know you're always here in mind, body, and spirit as well. Michelle Mimi Watkins, good morning. Talking about living a life of vulnerable experiences where you can put yourself in a position to go to the next level and move on. I just really think that so many times, so many people miss out on things that can be rewarding, even if it's in the short term. I'm not saying having a short term view, but sometimes the experience may only be for a season. It may only be for a season. Yeah, here you go, Michelle. You on it. Many don't like to be uncomfortable. Who likes to be uncomfortable? No one wants to be uncomfortable. But yet and still, we don't like our current situation, but we don't like to be uncomfortable. And you have to make a decision. Great point, Michelle. People don't like to be uncomfortable, but then again, in the same breath, they say they don't like where they are. They don't like what's going on, whether it's at the job, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's a new experience, whatever it may be. They don't like to be uncomfortable, but yet still, you are uncomfortable in your present state. You are uncomfortable just being where you are right now. So there's a better opportunity for you to think, be strategic, and be vulnerable for a period of time to give yourself a chance to experience them. Well, sometimes you don't know when success is going to land. You don't know how long it's going to be. So we don't want to be, as you say, Michelle, uncomfortable for an extended period of time. But man, sometimes just being stagnant is the worst. Sometimes being where you were a year ago can be the worst because you didn't try. You didn't put yourself out there. So many times we're worried about what other people are going to say. Well, hell, it's fair. You can worry about what other people are going to say, but you never took into account what the people you don't know are going to say. You take into account what the people you know, those of you know what they're going to say, the haters and how they're going to be, but you never take into account what the other fucks will be on. That's it. Michelle says facts. There's my guy right there, Derek Coleman in the building. Morning, brother. How you doing? Talking about living a life of vulnerable experiences. Talk about those young men and young ladies coming out to the Derek DC Elite Summer League, putting themselves out there on the court, putting themselves out there to match up with some people they may not be familiar with, but that vulnerability that they have as a team, as a coach, whatever it may be, is going to get us some future opportunities. Derek, I appreciate you and all you have been doing and will continue to do to help our young people. But it's all about putting yourself out there. Derek, I got mad at you because I didn't know some of the stories about your way to success. And people will assume that, the big fella, number one draft pick, that has always been on top, on top. He talks about going to different camps and really not being on people's radar. That's for a lot of you young people right now. Right now, you out here playing, and you may not be getting all the love and exposure on social media. But coaches aren't just totally relying on that. You still got to show up. You still got to show up and be there. I was with a head coach yesterday, and he talked about guys getting recruited, and said that's not the final straw. They still got to be the right people. So no matter what, young people, if you're listening or whoever it may be, living a life of vulnerable experiences will definitely help you with future opportunities. You got to put yourself out there. I left a life of politics for a life of sports and media. Yeah, people looked at me sideways, but I got great people like my brother Derek Coleman who back me up and support me going forward. Michelle Mimi Watkins of the world who support what's going on. And I couldn't have it a better way. And I got some other things coming up really soon in the next few weeks that are going to show that, this is a great opportunity to go forward. Michelle says, work hard, especially when nobody's looking, because someone is. Somebody's always looking. Yep. And on the same point, Derek came right on time and said, hard work never stops. Can't beat that. Can't beat that, folks. And for those of you who may be vulnerable or worried about vulnerability, that hard work is going to be that savior for you. That hard work is going to be that salve to ease everything that's going on. Got my guy Tino this morning. Good morning, Tino. Good to see you, man. It's been a couple of weeks. We always get to catch up soon, but we're just talking about living a life of vulnerable experiences. That don't be afraid to be vulnerable. And that vulnerability will really let you know where you stand with people, let you know where you are in the world. And you'll be surprised at those who come to your aid during that vulnerability, those who can provide you peace. And then, surprisingly enough, those who can kind of, provide a challenge during that time. It'll be a great cleansing opportunity. And finally, and I'll state again, I don't want anyone to get out there in the world to do something where they're putting themselves at risk of harm. However, things that hurt us, we can heal from. So you got to prepare yourself for that going forward. That's like working on your physicality so you can handle when somebody comes and, hits you while you're playing basketball. You can handle the physicality. Derek says, don't be scared to fall. At least you try. Exactly. And so many of us are sitting there with these ideas that have gone unhatched, Derek, these thoughts that have gone unchallenged, these things that have not happened. I remember sitting down with you over at Henry 4 years ago. I think when you and you brought Gary Payton in, and I had a chance to do the interview with you guys. But part of that was me getting out there and taking my chance to bring my equipment out to sit down and interview people who've achieved so much like you and Gary. But you got to put yourself out there, and look at where we are right now. So with that being said, this couldn't have been a better Monday motivation. I had some great people stopping by, and I appreciate that. I want to again encourage you guys to live a life of vulnerable experiences. Be okay with being vulnerable so you can go on and move forward and achieve the things you have set for yourself. So with that, Lindsay Hudson with SPS, have a great day, have a great week, have a great month, have a great year, have a great life. And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for the support. Peace.